Epic Games. Let's talk about it. I'm an intern at Epic Games. I'm working on Fortnite, and I want to tell you all about it. I'm having a great time. However, I know I said I was going to make this video earlier, and I'm really sorry about that because I was going to make a video about my first day at Epic. I was going to make a video about my first week, my first month, and now I'm 2.5 months in. I'm 2/3 of the way through my internship. I still haven't made a video. I'm so sorry to anybody who messaged me. Here's the video. I'm finally making it. We're going to knock it out of the park. And man, there is so much to talk about here. It's going to be readily apparent. I love my job. I'm having an awesome time. And I'm going to make a video as a closer. So I'll make a video maybe at the end of this internship to just talk about where I'll be going. But right now, there's a lot of ambiguity, right? I'm fielding opportunities. There's a lot of like, ooh, I don't know where I'm going to be next. I'm doing interviews at the same time. It's a hectic time. I have no free time. It's a real mess. But I wanted to sit down and just get this video done so that you had it in your hands and you could see what it's like from the inside as an intern. However, Epic Games' social media man has specifically asked me to disclose that while I am I'm not an employee, I'm like a contractor, but while I am working at Epic, my views do not reflect anything from the company. I'm gonna just garble a whole bunch of bullshit and nobody agrees with me at all. Please don't believe that they do. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Other interns are probably not going through the same thing. However, I think a lot of people are going through the same thing. Okay, I've been looking at Reddit and some forums, and I've been seeing how people are dealing with internships right now in the coronavirus times, and it's rough. It's rough because it adversely affects us juniors, because we're the ones who ask the most questions. We're the ones who are new to the team. And all of those little things like, oh, you know, it can be annoying when the new guy's asking you for a question. Oh, it can be difficult to meet somebody when they're new on the job. Oh, man, all those problems just magnify over coronavirus, man. It's a mess. Everybody's working from home, and it's really hard. I've had some really difficult times in this internship, which I'm going to share with you. And I'm also going to share with you ways in which I got unstuck. Hopefully, some of these methods are going to work for you. And if they don't, I'm sorry. Tell me in the comment section below what's rough. And maybe we could try to find a solution for that. But yes, this is my story of preparing and then starting my internship and currently working at Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, Gears of War, and all those other games. Okay, so let's talk about preparation. So I knew about this internship a pretty long while before I started, and that's just because it got delayed a hefty 3 months or so because coronavirus craziness, right? I did a road trip across the country. I was down in Texas talking to some of the game teams there. I was going to come up and bring all my stuff, and then boom, Corona hit, get in lockdown mode, go home, everybody's working from home, it's a mess, okay? So I knew, though, ahead of time, I'm going to be working at Epic Games. Okay, Epic Games, that's the Unreal Engine. I don't have a lot of experience there. A lot of my work's in Unity, and so I knew I wanted to download the Unreal Engine and just get to work, getting myself trained up, man, beefing up those muscles so when I came in there, pop, I could be crushing bugs like no tomorrow. However, when I asked for advice, I didn't get great advice, okay? I asked some of the people I'd be working with, I said, hey, how do I train up? How do I get beefy when it comes to getting ready for Epic Games, right? And they said, what you got to do is get the Unreal Engine and make a game. Now, that is actually great advice for somebody who's trying to land the job, trying to get experience with it. But even though I had 3 months, that went by really quick. That was a really quick time frame to get ramped up. And I wish I hadn't made a game, because instead, what I wish I had done is download sample projects and just surf through that code. Because the thing is, when you're making a game, you're looking at art, you're looking at music, you're looking at animation blend shapes, you're looking at sound design. There's so many things that go into making a game that are just irrelevant for being a gameplay engineer. I wish I didn't invest so much time in focusing on that stuff. I should have just surfed the code, looked at some of the key features of this engine, trying to figure out what the blueprinting thing is, whatever the hell that is, right? And piece it all together and get myself prepared rather than investing my creative abilities on creating a new IP or whatever I was making. I work with a team member. I went on Reddit. I found some people who I could work with and make a game together, and that was awesome. Set up a Perforce backend through AWS server hosting. Great YouTube tutorial on that, by the way. And started making my game, and that actually went pretty well. I would say it would have been better if I focused on the projects, but I made a game and it went out fairly well. The other thing that helped a lot was having a coach, and I highly recommend if you're training for some sort of proprietary technology like that, or rather a technology that there may be somebody out there who has some experience in, I would say hire a coach. I looked at Fiverr. I paid some people on Fiverr. I also reached out to my LinkedIn network. I paid a few dollars to some former interns to get some advice from them, to hear to basically just deal with some bug fixes. Because here's the thing, the Unreal Engine compared to Unity, the usability is it's an order of magnitude difference. Okay, it's not as accessible an engine, right? It's been around a lot longer, but it hasn't really been on the mass market appeal agenda for quite as long. Okay, whereas Unity from the beginning has been like a very, hey, everybody's supposed to make games with this product, right? So you got to be aware of that. The usability issues are real. However, what's really cool about Unreal Engine is you don't need to know how to code to make a game. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's true. With the Unity engine, you got to code C#, which is pretty accessible. But here's the thing, if you're not a coder, you're in a tough time, right? But with the Epic Games engine, you could use this visual scripting language called blueprinting, and you don't need to write a line of code, right? My friends at Cage Studios did just that to create their game, Sale and Sacrifice, and it came out great. But here's the thing, when I trained up, right? I'm learning blueprinting. I'm like, all right, blueprinting, cool. I'm going to learn how to use this stuff, right? Very similar to I can't talk about that. But I learned blueprinting, and then I talked to the person who's currently working there, my future coworker, and he says to me, oh, yeah, we never use blueprinting. That's just if we're trying to debug something that some designer wrote. Oh my gosh, are you telling me that all the time I invested was in this technology we're not even going to use? Well, it seemed like it, but fortunately, I did luck out though. Most of my time was debugging random stuff that designers made, right? So I did luck out in that respect. However, blueprinting honestly wasn't that hard to wrap your head around. It's all the weird stuff going on in the Unreal Engine, like, we'll talk about it in a bit. But those are the big things I would say. Don't make a game. Instead, work on sample projects. Unreal Engine has a lot of great sample projects where they're worked through line by line with some video tutorials. And the other thing I would say is hire a coach, because you're going to get stuck in this engine. This is an engine with a lot of holes, and you're going to get your foot stuck in there, and you don't want to yank it out because you're going to tear your foot off and you're going to be bleeding all over the place. So you need an experienced mountaineer to come down and excavate your foot so that you don't trip and kill yourself. Okay, so you got to watch out. Okay, so that was my preparation. Now we're going to talk about starting work, okay? Whenever I start a new job, my goals are as follows. First day, I want to build the game. And first week, I want to get my first commit. Okay, that is my goal on pretty much every internship I've done, every contract I'm coming in. I want to do that. Day 1, week 1. I explained that to my boss, and he was like, ho. You're quite ambitious, aren't you? I said, what? What do you mean ambitious? He said, I didn't land my first review until I was 2 weeks into the game. What? 2 weeks into the game? Until you were able to land your first review? Oh man, okay, I was getting a little suspicious at that point, and boy, was I in for a whirlwind, because I didn't land my first code review until 3 weeks into the engine, okay? Due to a whole bunch of shenanigans, which we're going to get into. It was a complete snafu. But I would say don't get too ambitious, okay? You gotta slow it down. One of the things, and honestly, going through those first 3 weeks, it was such a grind. I had a lot of moments where I doubted my abilities. I was feeling sad. I was getting real moody. I was sitting in the corner listening to Mad World by Gary Jules, just vibing out on some sad vibes. But here's the thing. I kept telling myself this, and it really did make a difference. I said, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you end, or rather, where they're when they're evaluating you, right? If on your day 1 you are a shitty programmer, but when they're gonna evaluate you, you're kicking ass, right? Then you're kicking ass, and that's all that matters, right? It's really it's not the journey that counts. Don't listen to that, because at the end of the day, you want to get the job, all right? It's the destination matters. But the beginning, it's kind of irrelevant, because if you suck and you get way better and you're suddenly great, then they're going to hire you, right? If you're good and you stay good, then you're just good, right? And they're not going to hire you. So I think that really made a difference to me, because I knew I was having a lot of problems due to hardware and a lot of stuff beyond my control, but even my own abilities, I was doubting them. And what really helped me out was just remembering, it's okay. It's week 1. I have time to get better. Even now, I've got 1 month ahead of me, and I've ramped up so much. I feel like I'm getting so much more done, and I still have time to improve. So I would say just keep that in the back of your mind. If you're having a shitty day, there's always tomorrow. You can always improve, and that really did help me in my psyche. Okay, so first week wasn't even a week, okay? Epic is actually quite gratuitous with their holidays and stuff like that, and those actually do get passed on to the interns. So my first week, I only had 2 working days, and those 2 working days, they sucked, man, because I couldn't build anything. I pushed play on my game, and it went chugga 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 chugga. Nothing was coming out. I left the computer, I come back, chugga 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 chugga. 2 hours had passed, nothing is built. I go to sleep, I wake up, I come to the computer. Dude, the game was not even 10% on the way to being completed, okay? So, just for reference, you go into Unity, right? You push play, the game starts, right? I was in the engine through building through Visual Studio. I push play 10 hours before the game starts, right? You can't code like that, right? What the hell's going on? I'm in a mess, right? 1 week later, I interview with the Infratech team, and they're doing a spec review, right? And I think I have my specs here. I pulled them up so I could show you. Let's see if we could screen share real quick. So here's where I was at. This is the left-hand side here. Here's the Hercules specs. Here's the right-hand side. This is the Omega specs. Omega is a computer which I purchased using the money that the Unreal... Oh, my mic's a little off the charts here. Okay, let's switch it back. All right, so you could go back in the video and pause it if you want. But basically, my Hercules computer, I called it Hercules because he was supposed to be a big, brawny boy. Big boy, right? But here's the thing. Wasn't strong enough. Wasn't tough enough for the Unreal game engine. And basically, yeah, I mean, they said to me, this is a great game for playing games. This is a great computer for playing games. But it's not a great computer for making games. We're going to need to give you some more firepower. And so that's when I purchased the Omega. Basically, one of the most expensive purchases I've made, second to only my car, right? If I was living still in my San Francisco apartment, this would have been 3 months of rent to pay for this computer. Very expensive thing, and that's essentially what it was. They gave me a stipend to pay for my housing. And since Corona times, I actually moved in with my parents, and all that money just went into building this machine, the Omega. I call it the Omega because that means the end, and I never want to build a goddamn computer again, because this should be the last straw, man, because this thing is beefy, right? But Moore's Law, you know, I'm sure that's going to go out the window. So anyways, that was one of the big problems. I just didn't have the hardware. I wasn't prepared, right? And so the recruiting team, the university recruiting team, actually did a great job in ahead of time. They did request those specs, but for whatever reason, they never reached my team. Nobody did inform me that my computer wasn't going to be strong enough. I assumed I'd be okay. And man, I was in for a world of hurt those first weeks because nothing was building. And so instead, I got into a remote computer, which I'm still tapping onto every now and then today. Which did help a lot. And so the remote computer is how I was able to start finally building this game and getting some traction before the Omega arrived, because of course everybody's ordering a computer online now, and the delay to get that was pretty serious. Okay, so what else is going on here? So I wasn't able to build the game, but I was able to run it and do some tests. And so actually a lot of the early bug tickets I had were just, people had not gave him a lot of love. So there was a lot of bug tickets I had where the bug just wasn't in the game anymore. So all I had to do was play the game, verify the bug was no longer there, and I was done. So I was able to actually clear a few tasks that way. However, it wasn't for a while before I actually got to coding. All right. So eventually I got to a bug that I was able to reproduce. And I was like, oh, snap. This is a real bug. I'm going to have to fix this shit. Maybe 2 weeks in, right? And I'm so excited. The training wheels are off. It's my first big boy bug. Let's get into it. All right. So to explain it like this, so this is going to be a recurring issue. But basically, the bug came in something like, there are sprinkles on the cupcake. Okay? And what I needed to do was presumably remove the sprinkles. So that's what I set about to doing. But this is actually sort of a sad story. So if you got a handkerchief there, grab it, because there might be some tears in your eyes, because I felt so productive those days, working on my first bug, put about 2 days into it, created my first solution, spun up a code review in Swarm, sent it to the boys on my team, and they review it and they say, Matthew, this is not a bug. This is intended functionality. The QA team, they were in the wrong here. We need sprinkles on that cupcake. You've removed the sprinkles, but this is a sprinkled cupcake. Oh my gosh, I was so just heart-stricken because I had worked so hard on this bug. My first bug, they tell me it's not even a bug. So I had wasted all that time. Now, thankfully, it wasn't wasted because I was going to be getting real close and personal with the creative move tool because I spent the rest of my days there, basically. But it was a little bit sad to hear that. Now, code review basically is essentially it's like an interactive haiku. Okay, a code review is like every coder who is in your posse. They'll come together in a little bit like a poetry slam circle, and everybody puts down a haiku. And from that haiku, you can extrapolate metaphors and sort of get general directions with respect to how you need to move your code, like what direction you need to go in. Sometimes it will be very metaphorical like that, and it's not always exact, right? And people want to teach you too because you're the new guy on the team, and some people have a strange way of doing that, and so they might kind of speak in metaphors or in riddles, and you've got to sort of decipher that, okay? And that can be a bit of a challenge as well. But at the end of the day, everybody's there to help you, and I think it's important to just, you got to take every review and feedback with a little bit of a grain of salt too, though, because particularly on design issues, this team has a lot going on, okay? More so than any code base, any game I've ever worked on, right? Man, I worked on God of War on the God of War team, and I thought, oh man, this is a pretty serious code base. I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. This is not only an entire engine. I mean, sure, that one is too, but this is an engine that can be used for many more games, right? But beyond that, oh boy, it's huge, right? There's just a million different weird corner cases, edge cases you could get in design-wise, and a lot of times the designers don't agree on that, right? So I've consulted people. I've gone to designers, said, hey, what should happen in this situation? They'll give me one answer. I'll go to the coders, and the coders will say, yeah, we're not going to do that. We don't agree with the designers. So there's already a bit of a battle going on there, and you're in the middle, and it's like, man, I'm just trying to learn. I don't want to get involved in politics and stuff. And so another designer might come in, they might say, no, you do it this way, you do it that way. What has really helped is just to have a point person for certain disciplines. So for example, there might be a point person for all the cupcakes, and that's the head chef, right? And you go to the head chef and you say, hey, chef, there are sprinkles on this cupcake. Is that okay? And he'll say, I love those sprinkles. Those are great. Or he'll say, absolutely not. We can't have any sprinkles in the cupcake whatsoever. Get them out of there. Okay, and that really helps because if you're going to go to every single cook, they might have a different opinion, right? But if you just go to the chef, he might have a different opinion too, right? But here's the thing. It's the chef. So the opinion is set in stone, so to speak, right? Or at least it's, it's official. And you could say, oh, well, this is what the chef said. And then people are less likely to be like, oh, this is a waste of time or something like that. So just a bunch of notes, trying to navigate politics and stuff like that. As always, be respectful. Take your time, take it slow. And I would say, you just got to do a little bit of second guessing because when you're just starting out, you don't necessarily know shot callers. You don't necessarily know the chain of command and stuff like that. And it could take a bit of time to get familiar with that scenario. Okay, other stuff. So here's a few practices that I did that I think made a big difference in my journey. The first is leaving the work in a productive state. Particularly leaving my desk in a productive state of mind. Because there was a lot of times, particularly in the beginning, where I'd work on a bug and I'd get worked up. I'd be very sad because I wasn't making a lot of progress. And if I walked away from my desk in that moment, I was sad, the whole day. Or I was sad while I was slurping on my soup. And that was just a terrible time. So I would say it really helped to leave the code state, leave in a productive state. Write down a task for yourself. Say, I'm going to complete X. And make it something tangible that you could definitely complete X, and then go away to slurp your soup. That way you feel like you've completed something, and I think for your morale, I think that's going to make a big difference rather than completing X, starting on Y, and maybe getting a little demoralized because you're running up against a wall, and then you go to the soup, and then it's like, oh, I suck, I'm terrible, I'm the worst programmer ever. And then you go back, and you got so many tears in your eyes, you can't focus. So that's what I would just recommend. The other thing is, when I get stuck on a bug, I don't know what I was referring to there. I would say, I'm looking at my notes. I'm trying to see what the heck I was trying to say. Tough when I get stuck on a bug. I don't know. It can be tough when you get stuck in a bug. I remember my first bug that I ever coded was I was doing a Java course online. I was in middle school taking a class at my local college, and I was learning Java. Okay, and I had a professor. It was all remote. So I sent him an email basically because I couldn't get my code to compile. Okay, this was very old school. My IDE was Notepad. Okay, Notepad. Yes, no spell correct, no nothing, just Notepad with a little Java C compile if you're familiar with Java. And every single time you write a Java program, it starts public static void main. Right, that's the top line almost always. So I write that, boom, public static void main, yada, yada, yada. I got all my stuff in, but the code's not compiling. And I don't know if I had a line number error or I just couldn't figure out where the issue was, but for whatever reason, the code's not compiling. And I decided, okay, I've looked at this for an hour or 10 minutes, and I'm going to send it over to my professor so he can give a review. Man, not like 5 minutes after I had sent that email, I'm looking over the code, and instead of public static void main, I had typed pubic static void main. Oh my gosh, true story. I was so embarrassed, right? Because pubic, obviously, that's sexual in nature. Could be very uncomfortable situation. Workplace harassment, who knows? I immediately sent the guy an email. I was like, don't worry about it. I figured out the bug, praying that he would never open that up so I wouldn't be so embarrassed. But now you guys know that embarrassing story. That was my first bug I ever had in a compile time error. But yeah, that was my first bug. And I faced some real terrible bugs on this internship, but hey, man, it's all good. Bugs like that, right? If it's like, honestly, the hardest bugs that I think if you ask most people, they'll say, oh man, a hard bug. I think stereotypically it'd be something like, a really tough math problem where you got to graph it out on paper, or a bug like that where you got to really finely look at all the characters or whatever. But I would say the hardest bugs I've faced on this internship are without a doubt all those little checkboxes, man. The Unreal Engine, everything's got a checkbox, and it might be checked, it might not be checked, but if it's not checked, the game's going to explode. And that really takes a sixth sense of knowing where things need to be tuned, what the replicated value needs to be set to. Those have been the hardest bugs for sure, is just getting all those settings aligned. The other thing I've been doing is having a logbook for sanity. So I'd say that helped a tremendous amount. I talk to myself all the time. If it's not obvious already, I make these YouTube videos as a way to retrospect on my own experiences and to learn from what I've just gone through. However, I'm doing the same thing when it comes to my day-to-day on my work environment. I have a huge Google Doc that I've been typing away at every time I face a bug. Every day I log into that Google Doc. I talk about what I'm working on today, what my goals are, what I'm trying to achieve, and that really helps keep me focused. It's also a great place of reference for me to control find if I need to go back to code I've referenced previously. Man, the ramp up for this job has been really piecemeal because there's like, imagine if I was going to do my job, I might need 5 essential guides. I've gotten those guides maybe 1 a week over the last 5 weweeks. Okay, so it's definitely been a process of like, oh, I didn't know how to do that because I never got the guide. So I had to ask for the guide, and now I've got it referenced here. And it's taken a little bit while to get set up on that path, right? But every time I get a new learning resource, I never want to make the same mistake twice. So I'm writing it down in my guide. I'm having it for quick reference. That way, if someone, a member of my team is going to be the new person starting up, I'll be able to provide all that immediately, right? And I want to be that helping hand for the new person coming in because I know what it's like to start up, right? I think a lot of interns actually overlook this, and that's that you have, or a contractor or a new hire, you have such a unique opportunity because nobody else has probably been through the onboarding process as recently as you. If it's your first day, then no one in the company is better prepared to update that onboarding process than you yourself, right? And so that's a policy I always do, and I've certainly done for this internship. I'm updating the review guides a ton. I'm completely changing the tutorialization, just adding in new pictures and stuff. Because every place where I got stuck, that's a place where maybe another 10 people could get stuck behind me. And so I'm going to clear the path for them. So I'd say that's a really great opportunity for you to help out, especially as an intern, as a new hire. You're a noob, you suck. Nobody gives a shit what you think. You're bad. But one thing you're good at is onboarding, because nobody else has that unique experience, right? And so that's a really good place, I think, to shine and make a difference. Weird things to remember, right? And so I alluded to this before, right? But there's just a million weird things to remember in this code base. When you're searching for a blueprint, it only searches the active blueprint. You can't play it with the all assets menu open. You got to close that. If you play it before then, you're going to be in for a real trip, because the loading time is going to be at least 20 minutes. You got to build in UGS in the right order. You got to do the Unreal. You got to use this tool and then this tool and then this tool, right? It all has to be the right order. Get all your ducks in a row, so to speak. So I would say just learning that process, it could take a while, right? And all the while, you don't want to annoy people. You don't want to be asking too many questions, because I've definitely been that person before where I'm asking too many questions. I'm annoying people. You got to stay in your lane. You got to self-teach. And it could take some time to get used to that. But I would say never make the same mistake twice. Always write it down. That way because, man, if there's honestly, some people hate helping out the new guy. Some people do, right? But everybody hates answering the same question twice. And you don't want everybody to hate you. And the people who don't like helping new people on board, they'll become apparent. Thankfully, I haven't run into anybody like that at this company. But at other companies, there's some engineers who want to just do their code, right? And they don't want to help out the other people. And you need to be aware of that. And you need to feel out the social, you need to have your sixth sense working there, your spider sense tingling. Always tingling, never stop tingling. Yeah, so that's advice for me. So other notes on just the team in general. I would say the biggest opportunity to improve the workflow I've seen is just coherence on vision. It has been frequent that I have faced a decision and had very different opinions from just a rudimentary design perspective. What should happen in this case? From different people, right? And it's a game. It's an interactive experience. There's a ton of shit going on. It's understood that there's going to be a lot of differences, right? But I would say just coherence on vision is a real opportunity for me to help this team. Something like, different answers from different people. No documentation from engineering, right? So that's something that's actually pretty common. But the design documentation I've also found rather... I don't know what the right word is, but not a lot, right? And unfortunately, I've had a little bit difficulty looking through it. So that's been another challenge for me, is just I'll be working on a bug. And actually, there was this one bug, which is like, so we just did sprinkles. Let's do another example. We'll just do sprinkles again. So I needed to figure out, should I put some sprinkles on this cupcake? And there was actually a guide with design documentation with respect to, when sprinkles should be on the cupcake, right? And I wasn't able to find that in time through Confluence or whatever. So I think that's another opportunity for me to improve, and just finding those documentations so that I have a point of reference whenever I have to make a design decision on something. And I would say it is pretty often. This team is very small, right? So that comes with a set of responsibilities, a set of challenges. There is a relatively high level of autonomy that's expected from an independent contributor. And so often you will need to make those decisions, and you will need to troubleshoot between many different opinions. And, that could be a unique challenge that you may not be prepared for. So be prepared, I guess. What else is going on? Sometimes I've actually needed to check against the live game, as silly as that sounds. Fortnite's a weird game. It's a weird game, man. And sometimes I open a cabinet and spaghetti comes out. And I'm like, what the heck? Spaghetti in the cabinet? Is this supposed to happen? I go to Fortnite, I load up the game, I open up a cabinet, and boom, spaghetti pops out. Oh, that's not a bug. That's just the game. Like, this is a weird game, man. You need to be ready for some spaghetti cabinets. So I would just say, be open to that. And that definitely has helped too. When I have a design problem, I'm like, oh, how should this work? I go into the live game and I just see that. So that's a unique opportunity, given that it is a live game experience. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about a standout part of working on Fortnite. Man, this QA team is the most competent, kick-ass QA team I have ever worked with in my entire life. They will fuck your shit up. If you code a feature or whatever, they are like, well, he's not a rapper, but there's this guy, right? What's his name? He always says, like, I'm not a rapper. Super Hot Fire, right? He's not. He says he's not a rapper, right? But he engages in these rap battles, and whenever Super Hot Fire goes into a rap battle, right, his final line is always boop bop bang, right? And then boo, the crowd goes wild, right? And everybody's amazed because with those three little boop bop bang, he's completely destroyed the entire career of whoever he's versing. That is what it feels like to get this QA team, right? They're that good, right? You put your feature in front of them, they just push 3 buttons, boop, bop, bang, poof, your feature explodes. Holy shit, you suck at your job, right? That has happened to me a ton. This QA team is great. They're so good. And they're very well integrated, right? More so than I've seen in any other team, right? And the boon is obvious, right? They're at our daily stand-ups. I could talk to them, refer to them. If I have a bug, I could just reach out to them, Slack them, have a quick one-on-one video chat. That has been so helpful because my full time is pretty much dealing with bugs, right? And so it's been really helpful to have that close relationship with this amazingly talented QA team. It's been great, right? I couldn't ask for better coworkers, honestly. Everybody in this team is amazing, but the QA especially, they're really great. Just in general, I would say contractors are really well represented. This leadership team, in general, I would say is incredibly inclusive, right? So I've worked in very different environments, right? I've worked with directorships where it's like, here's what we're going to do. And if you think differently, then who cares? I've also worked with directors where it's, definitely a bit more of a group think, where it's like, hey, we're going to have tons of surveys where you're giving feedback and stuff. And I would say this directorship is definitely closer to, hey, everybody's a part of this team. If you have a great idea, if you want to take the initiative, go into it. We're here. We value everybody's opinion. Everybody's welcome at the table. Everybody is encouraged to speak up in a meeting. I would say it's an incredibly inclusive environment for that reason. Humility. Humility is so important to me. Humility. Because this is an industry with a lot of ego, right? There's a lot of people who think they're real cool in this industry. And if you haven't met them yet, you'll meet them. They'll let you know what they think about them. And what they want you to think about them, right? There's a lot of ego in this industry. And this team is incredibly humble. And I respect that so much because I think it's very important to be humble. As I've said probably a million times, this is the big debate I always have with my co-founder, right? I say, hey, we're just making games, right? We're not saving lives. I come from pharmacotherapy software and working for NASA, right? And so it's like, wow, like we're dealing with some pretty serious shit, right? Where like I'm making a program that is trying to save somebody's life because, and if my software has not like legit working correctly, people will die. And we're making games, right? It's silly, it's trivial, right? And then Scott, on the other hand, he's like, hey man, we're not saving lives, but we're giving people a reason to live, right? That's his quote, right? So I love that too. I respect that. But this team, even with the incredible success Fortnite has had, they're incredibly humble. And I'm humbled to be a part of that team, without a doubt. They're so talented, so incredible. It's a dream come true, honestly. So much respect. It's easy to be humble if you suck. It's easy to be humble if you suck. If you're an intern and you're the new guy, it's easy to be humble. It really is. but it's much more valuable in a VIP, in a very important person. It's much more, it's harder. It's harder to be humble. And that's something I very much respect. And so I'm very grateful to be with such a team that values humility so highly. Okay, so let's talk about a summary. So that is some good, some bad, some of my difficulties, some ways that I got through it. That's a review in only half an hour. If you stuck through all the way to the end, then I've got a summary for you. So here we go, another 10, 15 minutes. I was beyond impressed with this company's talent. One of the strongest engineering teams I've ever worked with, without a doubt. One of the most. The most, maybe, but definitely one of the most. And I mean, the work speaks for itself, right? There's a reason why the Unreal Engine 5 came out and everybody's jaws dropped. Because this team is pushing it, man. They're pushing it. My boss, he said to me, like, Epic is all about, just breaking down boundaries. They connected cross-platform at a time where nobody thought it could be done. They connected cross-IPs in a time where I still think it's impossible. The fact that they've got DC versus Marvel, as they said, wow, we could do anything if we could get those two IPs in the same game, right? So I think, and that's one of the things that definitely attracted me to this team. I remember when they blacked out after one of the seasons, the screen went black, right? And nobody could play the game. That was insane, right? I would never have the balls to do that with my own game. But this team's crazy, right? They're crazy. They're ahead of their game. They know it, and they're pushing further. And wow, some of the best engineers in the world. Some of the best marketing, creative talent, certainly QA talent in the world. As I said before, I mean, there's no other way to say it. Incredibly humbled to be a part of the team. I love the company culture. I love this company's culture. So you may have been following the news recently. If you're watching this video very, very far in the future, there's this country with a lot of power right now, China, and they own a lot of the industry, right? There's this, they say all roads lead to Rome. They say we're all going to be working for Tencent one day. Tencent is this big Chinese company that's slowly been eating every other company up, right? They're just eating them all up, right? They own League of Legends. They own Activision Blizzard. They own 40% of Epic Games. Tencent owns 40% of Epic Games. And they asked Tim Sweeney, right, after somebody said free Hong Kong, Activision Blizzard, they knock this guy out, right, take him out of the ring. This kid's never allowed to work there again for like a year or two, something ridiculous, right? Then they have the audacity to say they stand for, Black Lives Matter and all these diversity campaigns in the current climate. Insanity. So they come to Tim Sweeney. They say, hey, Tim, what do you think? Will you bow to the Chinese government? He says, I think people should stand up for what they believe in, right? And I'm like, Tim Sweeney, what the fuck, dude? Tencent owns 40% of your company. You've got some balls. I want to work for this guy. This guy's crazy. I love it. He's uncompromising. And what he has done for the industry, for developers, what this company has done for the industry, for developers, in so many ways beyond that, right? Not only that crazy political statement, but also with the Epic Games Store and so many other things. I mean, this team has done so much collective good for our industry. I love it. I love this company's culture. I'm so happy to be here and to contribute to something amazing. And man, the people are amazing. Great coworkers, super patient, helpful, kick ass at their craft, some of the best in the world. And this is a big one. The game is fun to play. I've worked on some teams where the game is not very fun to play, where I haven't been a big fan of the game. Now, you guys know me. I'm not a huge gamer, okay? Or I wouldn't say I'm a gamer. I don't play as much games as other people. I play a good amount, though. And this is actually a game that me and the boys have sat down and we've played together, right? Not everybody has a good computer like me, right? Everybody's got that friend in the friend group who's not very good at games, right? And maybe they're playing on their smartphone or whatever, right? That's all good. We'll carry, we'll carry. I've got another friend who is a super gamer, right? And he's way better than me. He'll drop a shot. He'll protect me. He'll carry my booty. But it's awesome that this is a game that we could play together and that we could really enjoy. That's awesome. And people have heard of it. my job is crazy sometimes, okay? There is this guy named the Glitch King, okay? He calls himself the Glitch King, right? Think of him as like a warlord, okay? And he's got his own YouTube channel where all he does is create YouTube videos where he breaks Fortnite. That's all he does. He's got millions of subscribers. And his whole MO is breaking this game. And my job literally sometimes boils down to watching his videos and fixing all the shit that this guy breaks. Right? It's like a war. It's like a battle where he's breaking shit and I've got to fix it. And that's awesome, man. It's so cool because he's got millions of subscribers watching him break all this shit. You know, that's insane. That the game has so much reach that 1 million people will watch him break it. Like watch a bug reel. It's crazy. This is a game that people play, right? So my indie game, right? I got very fortunate. It was a big success. We had over 1 million players. And what kind of got me a little sad was I was like, oh man, we got 1 million players on my indie game? Well, where are they? I've never met them. No, that's not exactly true. You know, I've met them over Discord and all the amazing fan art you guys send me. But I've always wanted to like meet somebody in person who has played my game, or like, you know, every I think dev fantasizes about this, where they're making a game and then they go on the subway and they lean over somebody's shoulder and they see that they're playing their game. Oh my God, I made that game. And then they give you a high five or a free sandwich or whatever. And they're like, wow, you made the game? That's amazing, you know? It's like in the Quentin Tarantino movie where the young lady, she goes in to see the film that she stars as the actress in. And they're like, oh, you know, welcome to the show, man. Let me shake your hand. Let me put you in the free of charge. You could go watch your game in the theater or watch your movie or whatever. So, you know, it's that sort of thing. And, man, let me tell you, I'll never forget the first time I met a stranger who had played a game I worked on. I'll tell you this story real quick. I know we're really long on this video. It's an epic video. If you've stayed this long, then this is a reward for you, this short story. Okay, so this was way back in the day before people use dating apps. Okay, relevant. Back in the day, I know it sounds crazy, but you used to talk to somebody if you had a crush on them. And that was the case for me. I was in an airport on a gate, waiting at the gate to get on the plane. And I saw this woman, a very attractive woman. I thought she was quite beautiful. I wanted to walk up to her and say hello. And that's exactly what I did. You know, I said, hey, you know, what's going on? What's your name? What's my name? Blah, 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 blah. Where are you going? Oh, me too. You know, we're at the same gate. Awesome. What a coincidence, you know. Yeah, right on, you know. So what do you do? Oh, I make games. Oh my gosh, my husband would love you. Oh, the husband, of course, right? Of course, my luck, right? Of course. And she wasn't wearing a wedding ring, by the way, FYI. So I say, oh, okay, all right. Well, the husband, yeah, that's wonderful. Well, what games does he play? And then she says, oh, I don't remember, but it's something about like a God of War. I'm like, what? The God of War? I worked on that team. I didn't work on that game, admittedly, but I worked on that team. You know, that's so cool. And she's like, oh, well, whatever. But I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I've met a stranger who knew somebody who played my game. And that was like, wow, that was a moment, right? Working on this game, oh my God, it's another level. What kid hasn't heard of Fortnite, right? What parent hasn't heard of Fortnite, right? It's insane. We've got schools creating preventative measures because we've got kids being bullied for default skins. What? You're telling me people are bullying each other in school because they're not buying your IAP? What? They're not microtransacting? That's insane. Like that's what I couldn't even make that up. That's crazy. And my brother, he had a Fortnite themed birthday party where I got to do all these cool decorations for Fortnite. Like, we're in the middle of a cultural movement, man. It's awesome, right? It's like at the level of like Minecraft. So that's amazing just to contribute to a game that has that much reach, has that much appeal. That's incredible, you know? Now, of course, fast forward to today, right? I'm on not Tinder, but the dating app Hinge, I believe it was, right? And I'm swiping or tapping or whatever the ergonomics is, and I match with this woman. She's a streamer, right? She's a streamer for video games. Oh, I'm working in the industry. Oh, I'm a streamer. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, what games do you make? Oh, I'm working on the game Fortnite by Epic Games. And she said, Fortnite? Oh my God, I stream Fortnite. I play every day. And do you play? And I'm like, well, not that much, right? And so the tables have turned now. So that's just wild. Now that so many people played the game. It's incredible. Okay, so that is another note. What else is going on? So my work is challenging. I've had some really tough bugs, but I love it. I love it so much. I love a good challenge. I love a good kind of challenge. I don't like a challenge where it's like, you need to find this random checkbox and check it. You guys know I don't like that stuff, but I'm learning. And thankfully with that stuff, it is a lot of, as I said, the sixth sense. Once you've seen it a little bit, you gain a greater appreciation for what's going on. But I will say that, you know what? I might be doing some PS4 stuff, so that could be exciting if I get a dev kit. I do have a bit of a backup plan. If they choose not to hire me, I'll have the dev kit as hostage. So that'll be my little backup plan. Just kidding. Please don't sue me. Just kidding. I also love learning, so I'm learning a lot while I'm working, and that's fun. I haven't worked with any like new concepts, I would say, but or I guess just in general, the Unreal Engine, that's been an experience. And some replication stuff, I would say I'm a little green on, so that's been a good experience. And legitimately, I look forward to each day. I have work tomorrow. Man, I'm staying up a little late, so I better get snoozing. But I look forward to each day. I love working on Epic Games, and and I love the company too. And I love the 4-letter word. It can be difficult in a relationship, professional or personal, to determine when it's the right time to use that 4-letter word. But I would say, there's certainly been a few companies where I've experienced that, and I would say I really like working on this team. And I've expressed that many times. They know I want to work there. They know that. But with that being said, who knows? Who knows where I'm going to be? So I guess we could talk a little bit about the future. So, I am expressing interest, so hopefully I could get a return offer. I've spoken with my boss with respect to my performance. He said I am on track to be at the associate level, basically entry-level engineer, which is great. If I could do that, I could rock that out. He said, if we hire you, though, you got 1 year to improve to be a full-time engineer. Otherwise, we're going to kick your ass out of here. And I said, okay, no problem, sir. Yes, sir. And yes, sir, we'll make it happen. So that's not an issue with me because I'm going to be learning every day. And if I've came this far in 1 month, 1 year, I'm going to be blasting up to the moon, baby. So I'm excited to get better. I really want to get better. What else? And I'm also talking to a lot of recruiters. I've already received some offers, as you guys know, which are quite tantalizing. I'm going to make a video talking about some of the other opportunities. I've been doing some research on these companies, just sort of understanding, right? So, for example, I'm talking with Activision. They have quite a few studios, Activision. And so I'm talking, just learning sort of like what the infrastructure looks like behind this team, like how many teams are there? What are the projects they work on? Stuff like that. Real basic stuff I thought would be nice to turn to a video, so I might do that in the future. And the other thing is, some of these recruiters, man, they got real, they got a real gift of gab. They got a real way of talking because they know what it's like working on Fortnite. Okay? They know it's a small team with an insane schedule. That's basically putting out a new patch every 2 weeks, right? They're very aware of that, right? And so they can talk to team strengths, particularly teams that are more focused on people growth which are more people focused than product focused, that can speak to more juniors on the team, more of a dedication to providing learning opportunities versus autonomy and independent study, I guess you would say, in a fast-paced team. So the recruiters, they know what you're going through, right? Because they know all these companies. So they can speak to your company's weaknesses, and they can speak to their company's strengths in comparison. So I would say that is something to keep in mind, right, when you're talking to the recruiters. I'm chatting with them. It's been tough to schedule interviews because I'm working all the time. And I've got every other Friday off. So what I've been doing is that's just basically my interview day, right? So I'm sitting right now. I didn't get to finish it this week because I'm doing some stuff for Scott. And check out our Discord if you want to hear news about that. But I'm sitting right now on a test for a Bungie, and I've got to get that going. So there's a lot of interviewing that's happening right now, and I'm trying to get that all doing in tandem. Obviously, the best position for me would be to have multiple opportunities on the table, or I can revisit studios that have provided me with offers, and we could try to make that work. But at the end of the day, I think if Epic gives me an offer, then I'm probably going to take it. But it does depend, because there is a lot of other studios that are presenting some really compelling opportunities. So I think there's a lot of things to consider, right? There's a lot of trade-offs, particularly for career growth, which I think is what I'm most oriented towards right now. Are you going to learn more in a very fast-paced team with very senior engineers, but less of them, who maybe, could realistically face a 24-hour turnaround time on a question you might have to Slack? Or are you going to face more growth in a team that does have more juniors and is more oriented to people development, right? These are big questions. So I think some serious thought is going to have to go into that decision if I have a decision to make. I'm hoping I do. So what else is going on? So yeah, I'd say, speaking of my boss, it sounds like my capabilities are on the right track. I'll check in with you guys at the end of this internship to tell you how that scenario has panned out and where I'll be landing. But for now, it's full-time Fortnite, all the time Fortnite. We love Fortnite, baby. And how could you not? It's such a great game. Nothing's guaranteed. But I'm really excited to start this last chapter of the internship. Who knows if the next chapter is going to be here or elsewhere. But I've got about 1 month left. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to try to execute at the highest level of my abilities and push my abilities so that I'm growing as well. And hopefully, even if I don't receive an offer, I leave a tremendous impact where I've positively left the team in a much better state than I found them. So that's the goal, as always. So thank you so much for watching. Wow, it's been an hour. What a trip. An hour to summarize the last 2 months of my life. It sounds about right. Let me know if you have any questions. If I didn't address something, if you thought I wasn't honest or forthcoming on a point, I'd be happy to answer, provide some clarity. If you have a curiosity, post it in the comments section, and I'd be happy to follow up. And if you enjoyed this video, as always, like, subscribe. We got like 300 subscribers now. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm so happy to see all you guys. I'm going to make more tutorials at some point. I haven't had the time to, but I would love to make more tutorials and content oriented towards that. These videos are relatively easy for me to put out, and I've also been doing the Strange Encounters videos, which you guys have enjoyed as well. Those are a lot of fun. They're very low effort for me, so I really do enjoy putting those out and telling you guys some crazy stories about what's been going on in my life. But without further ado, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.